Hello, TradingView community. Welcome to my new analysis about NZDJPY. And with NZDJPY, there happened some major developments within the recent times that I am going to explicate within my analysis today. And especially within my analytics dashboard, I have spotted major developments currently going on, which are indicating a huge development within the upcoming times for NZD-JPY. And with NZD-JPY, it has to be mentioned that NZD-JPY had the ability to hold within this major range here and to build up important developments within this whole structure, showing up with these important bounces towards the upside. And this is already a important dynamic that NZD JPY already developed here within this whole structure, especially as these developments move it into the upper boundaries from where on NZD-JPY increased with these important bullish dynamics, bouncing several times in this major ascending trendline direction. And this is already a important development that should not be underestimated because it is pointing to a final accelerated bullish breakout developments above these conditions. And now NZD JPY already has the ability to hold within this whole structure and to build up here this major ascending triangle formation in which is consolidating more and more. And now it is already testing these important levels here within this whole structure. And such a ascending triangle formation, as I already pointed out within previous ideas, such a ascending triangle formation has a important setup development that has the ability to show up with a final upper boundary breakout from where on the price action has a high possibility development breakout setting from where further expansions are likely to show up within the upper boundaries. And in this case, it has to be mentioned that from here on, this is the important all decisive breakout setup that NZD JPY needs to show up with. Once this whole breakout has shown up here within this whole structure, this is going to accelerate the bullish dynamics into the upper boundaries. And in this case, NZD JPY has major development potentials to show up with further abilities above these important support structures that NZD JPY is actually forming here within this whole structure. And in this case, it has to be mentioned that from there on, NZD JPY has major potentials to continue into these directions. And especially when looking at the higher time frame perspectives. At the higher time frame perspectives, it has to be mentioned that NZD JPY is near this gigantic all-time high area. Firstly, it is near this major 93 area and near this all-time high area at 96. And this means as NZD JPY is actually building up here within this range, there's a high possibility setup that NZD JPY actually has a important breakout setting in which it has the ability to bounce into a new all-time high direction. And in this case, it has to be mentioned that these are the main structure resistances within the source structure. And once NZD-JPY has shown up with the breakout above these dynamics, it has further potentials to continue from there on. Therefore, within this whole structure, it has to be mentioned that this ascending triangle formation is likely to be completed within the upcoming times. And in this case, it is necessary that NZD-JPY actually stays here within this whole area and builds up here within this whole area to bounce further within these dynamics and from there on show up with further dynamics into these upper boundaries. Because when this happens, there's a realistic possibility, a major possibility that NZDJPY finally breaks out into the main upper boundary all-time high directions and forms new all-time highs, which is always important for a trend to continue into these directions. And in this case, it has to be mentioned that NZDJPY already has a important volume backing here within this whole structure. As these volume spikes increase more and more, this is already a important indication for further possibilities of further volume spike increases within the upcoming times. And in this case, it is also necessary that these breakouts are actually backed by the major volume that is here within this whole structure. And especially once these breakouts have shown up within this whole structures, and once the volume also goes along with it and increases further within this whole structure, there's also a further high possibility chance to continue into these directions. And therefore, these are the main determinations that should be considered here. And when looking at the 4-hour time frame perspective, the 4-hour time frame perspective is also already building up a bullish structure within this whole development. NZD-JPY is already forming this ascending bull flag formation, which is likely to be completed within the next times. And once this ascending bull flag formation has been completed, this will point to the final breakout setup above the upper boundary of this major, important, decisive ascending triangle formation. And once this whole breakout has shown up, this is going to have a tremendous acceleration effect for this whole structure from where on NZD-JPY has further potentials to move into these directions. And therefore, these are the main underlying dynamics here. Overall, it is a major bullish structure. Once the whole ascending triangle formation has been completed, the first target will be within this main zone, within the 93.5 zone, and above that, the next target will be within the 97.5 zone. And above that, when NZD continues into these directions, and especially once it breaks out into a new all-time high direction, there are also more target zones possible. In this case, the next target zone will be the 100 target zone, and above that, further potentials into these directions. And therefore, it has to be mentioned that there's not much of a possibility that this whole structure reverses into the other direction. The only thing that could reverse such a dynamic here within this case is when a huge supply shocks enter the market and NZD-JPY shows up with huge supply and huge bearish selling volume. However, currently this is not the case, and currently this is not the most possible scenario. Therefore, the most possible scenario is this main triangle, ascending triangle breakout to show up within the upcoming times. This will lead to the confirmation setup above the upper boundary, and from there on, this is going to activate the target zones within the source structure. And in this case, it will be a really, really interesting dynamic to watch out within the source structure. And this is why I am keeping NZD-JPY on my long watch list within the market as a major candidate for a long position within the market. The aggressive entry would be within this ascending triangle formation. In this case, it is necessary to decrease the risk by 0.35. And once this whole breakout has shown up, this will be the appropriate setup. In this case, the risk reward can be increased by 0.4 into the upper directions. And in this case, this will be the appropriate setup to enter once this whole confirmation has shown up, and then the targets will be active. And with this being said, it is also important to watch out within the other forex market conditions, because not every forex pair within the market has such a important and decisive bullish conditions. There are also bearish conditions within the market. There are also bearish forex setups within the market. And this is why I'm also looking at the bearish setups within the market to look after a major total return approach that I am considering within my analytics and trading dashboard. And with this being said, it will be great when you support my project further with a like, follow, and comment. Bye bye.